Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome back to some more Daggerfall. Alright, so on the last episode we did the start of the end of King Lysandas's doodad with where he exercises ghost and stuff. Oh boy. So we need to be level 10. We are currently level 9. Booty Action. I can't ever not laugh when I see that name, I'm sorry. So that's fine. We'll just do a couple of quests, and we'll be on our way. If not, we can always just do some thievery or something of that nature. Because, like I said with my Diablo 2 video, I do like to show some of the process. I have 1 hour at the Unfortunate Fairy left after all this time. Good Lord. So I think, in order to make sure you guys get the maximum efficiency, let's see if we can get the level in this video and at least start the next part of the main quest, because we have to wait a handful of hours to do that. Oh, cool, we can actually go in there. Nice. I do need some more gold, because we did burn through all of our gold after we went on an enchanting rampage, which I am a little ashamed of, because I probably should have done a little bit more, well, other effects, other than just, you know, what I went with. Ooh, Addy Longsword! Ebony Claymore! Look at that bastard. Oh, well, tough. We're gonna use the, good old Addy. So, Adamant, and then Ebony, and then Daedric is how the game tiers stuff. Man, we just... Ooh, starting strong here. That is awesome. Anyways, so, yeah. I definitely have had some time to think about the future of this video series as well, because this is actually about 4 or 5 days later in me-land, so... Keep in mind, I don't actually post a series until... Do I not have gloves? Huh? Oh, well shit, now we do. Because like I always say, Oh, I didn't even see that, Jesus. So yeah, like I always say, I don't actually post a video... Uh-oh, this is a problem. No halting. Halt, John Revolt, I don't know. I don't post video series until the actual series is done. And there's a very good reason for that, and it's because I like to kind of mix it up, you know? I like to have that nice surprise for me to see how quickly I can complete a series. Also, because I like to have the general format of having everything done just as a safe measure, you know? I don't like to start and stop a series, and I also enjoy... Also, I'm just doing this to reset my bounty there. Anyways. So I also am going to include the questing. We're going to try and do a dungeon, because lately we've just been doing main quest, and we also just did... what's it called? Pretty much just stagnant, you know, stuff. Like, everything's set. You know, so I already know what I'm looking for. I know the area pretty much. So I figured let's just test our metal out, you know. Let's pot herbs. Fucking pot herbs. No, I think I already looted this place. There's a guard right there, so it's probably not a good idea. The Queen's Goblin. Well, if that's what the kids are calling it these days. Speaking of pot herb. Anyways, so yeah, I figured... In theory, I'd like to show just some random dungeons off for fun, just to show how far the characters progressed, and also show how batshit insane some of the later dungeons can be when you're not, you know, like level 3, and you can actually start encountering some pretty nasty shit. So, oh, come on, man. Ugh. I did just have dinner, so I'm a little bit weird. I always hate that feeling after you eat something and you're like, ah, cool, and all the dishes are done and all the good tired, you know what I mean? Alright, let's go ahead and see what we can get. No, that's not me. Rogue Rogue Imp pays leet gold, but no thanks. What a pity, I know. No, we're not doing that. That quest, I know you're probably like, but it involves 2 dungeons. No, that quest is just awful. Which one is this? Ah, good. No, that one, I know what that one is. I'm not dealing with that. We want a dungeon quest, damn it. No. Open spell. Who needs to cache that? Who I trust you've heard before? No. We already have all the, no. We already have all the reputation we need. Let's see. The Guild Hall in life. No. Open. No. Banish Daedra. I've never done that quest, but I know how it works, and it's fucking hard. Daedra Heart. Six days? Sure. Okay. I'll give it a shot. I guess I'm doing that one then. If we fail, it's not like it's gonna, you know, absolutely obliterate us. Alright, we only have 1 day, doesn't really matter. So we have 5 days to find, what is it, a Daedra Heart? Oh, this is gonna be awful. I know what it looks like, but this is gonna be bullshit. I've never done this dungeon, so I don't know yet. Hopefully it's not insane. So no, what did I do that for? There we go. That was like the last save I had. Alright, let's go ahead and get into it then, shall we? Oh, I did. Never mind. I am so dumb. This is the beginning of the session. I'm still rusty here. So we need to find a Daedra Heart, which... this could be... interesting. So also you'll notice one of my items broke when we were in Castle... or Dureni Castle. Or Dureni Tower, sorry. And, that is definitely a side effect of having enchanted gear, is once it breaks, it's broken forever. You are never getting it back, it will always be gone. That's something that Oblivion would actually fix, as well as Morrowind. So in Morrowind, if an item actually runs out of charge, you just have to recharge it with soul gems to get the value back. However, in this game, if something breaks, it's just gone. You just don't get it back, which is really stupid. I think most everybody can agree that's a really dumb design. Okay, that's healing. I forgot I even did that. Oh my god. I hate how strong wraiths hit for. I feel like they hit for an inordinate amount of damage for what they actually are. They're basically just ghosts with, like, some extra magic. I don't feel like it's fair they hit that hard. Oh, by the way, does this area look familiar? Yeah, this module, if you're curious, is the one that's in, the quest to get the, unicorn horn. So, if you're like, man, that looks really familiar, now you know, huh? How much gold do I have on me as well? Only 130. What is encumbering me so much, though? That's my main question here. Is it? Oh! That's right, I have an entire fucking battlement worth of shit in my inventory. That might explain a little bit. Oh, it's the beginning of the session. Give it some, give me a break here, man. So we do have werewolves. That's kind of, it's a good thing we're immune to disease, but, oh man, that would suck ass. So I've never had any success being a lycanthrope in this game, and uh-oh, that means the, quest area can be underwater here. This might be a problem, but I think we'll be okay. Holy shit, look at all these werewolves. Oh my god. They thankfully don't hit very high, especially because they're a leveled animal. They only have, I think like level 8 or something. They're not very high up there. They're medium in terms of difficulty. But, yeah, so far, this dungeon isn't being too assy. I can actually regenerate magicka, kind of, if I run into a ghost, which is nice, but, you know, at the same time, I don't want to. I only have, like, 5 days to get this quest turned in, so we gotta act quickly. There is a lot of shit in this dungeon, holy hell. But look at that, look at the damage difference between, like, just... God, this is something you just don't get very much every now and then. Alright, let's go ahead and take that. Ooh, a piece of goodie. So, just like with all quests, anything like this, you know, where it revolves around finding a specific item, it can't be something that you already have. It has to be the actual thing. So, like, if you have a Daedra Heart, your Daedra Hearts do not count. They have to be the quest Daedra Heart, or the quest whatever, you know. It just can't be what you want. It never can be. What was the other skill I had that was chosen here? Mysticism. Okay, let's do that, because I actually really need to get that up. Oh, I never... Oh, no, it's open, that's right. Okay, so you can still cast a spell, and it still technically counts it towards your good old practice session in there. So we are very close to finishing the game. I don't know if there's any more endgame content I'd like to show off. Maybe a Witch Coven if I can be bothered, but Witch Covens are really only... it depends on what you want to do. So if you want to go and get Daedric artifacts, be my guest. Uh-oh, this is a magically held lock, so I have to use a spell on that, so we'll go ahead and try to do that. If I can't, I'm not gonna cry. Hey, look at that! Booty action up to 10. Told you it wasn't gonna take me very long. Let's go 70. We got a really good roll on this level, wow. I think we'll go up to 90 is the max. I kind of want to go there, because it's probably more beneficial. So that's cool, at least we got our level we were trying to go after. So let's go ahead and open this bad boy up. What? What the fuck is that nonsense? Well, you know what, I'm just not going to bother with that door then. But, let's see. Am I... Because I'm like, okay, well what the hell? Alright, I want to make sure that wasn't something containing the heart. That would have made me cry, like legitimately made me cry, like, okay, that's just not cool, game. So, yeah, we're level 10, we can officially get the next part of the quest going. We should probably get that started by the time we go back to town, which is great, but I'd still, you know, like to go through this dungeon at least, try to finish the quest on time, but if I don't, I'm not gonna cry. At this point, I could technically just say, fuck the quest, travel to Midori Tower right now. Doesn't mean that the, you know, stuff is ready, but you will know that you have the quest ready because she'll actually telepathically tell the player, hey, you should come to Dureni Tower for like the 800th time. And then you go back there and she gives you another quest, which is going to basically be a superlatively fresh mummy wrappings, and oh my god, we're in the fucking spaghetti zone right now, good lord. What the hell? Oh, it's like, what the hell hit me? I forget Wraiths can cast magic, I just can't remember what they cast specifically. So the next quest we're gonna do is... Oh, they cast Silence, I didn't know that's what they even cast. I thought it was... Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense, because they can cast that in Oblivion, I'm pretty sure, as well as Morrowind. Good lord. So, the next quest is going to basically be go to Dureni Tower, and then we're going to have to go back and get... man, that silence is lasting a long time. I should probably dispel that. Of course. You know, you'd think that would work. Considering you can use paralysis prevention when you're paralyzed, you'd think you'd be able to dispel a spell when you're dispelled, but I guess that does technically cancel out. But anyways, so the next quest is basically going to be go find a mummy. So it's basically that quest, except we have to get it from Gortwog. We'll get into it when we get there. So we've already been here, so we can mark this area off. If it's in the water, I'm going to cry. There's not very much, like, stuff that module could be down there, but I still don't want to have to do it. Alright, so we'll... it's really leading us on to go in that area. There we go. I was gonna say, that's gotta wear off eventually. Ugh, spaghettis. Ugh. I love spaghetti, but not like this. Okay, so... I don't think I found the actual... this, I think, connects to a module that has a quest module in it. I could be wrong, otherwise it's just complete spaghetti bullshit. I'm not 100% sure. This module has always pissed me off because it's so hard to tell where it starts and where it ends. So yeah, in terms, this is where we came in from. So in terms of story, I mean, we're actually really close to being done. The only problem is once we get the next quest in, like, that chain, well, guess what we're gonna have to do? We're gonna have to wait another approximately 20 days until we can get the next quest part. So we're basically doing the same thing twice, and then we have to go to the actual Tomb of Lysandus, exorcise him, kill Lord Woodburn, then we can determine how we end the game, and then we go do the final dungeon in the game, which I actually really like. So there's not very much stuff left in terms of the story to do at this point. It's just all dependent on how we want to, you know, end it, essentially, at this point. So let's go ahead and cast Water with Kevin Bacon. Waterworld. You know, it's so funny. I've only seen like a handful of movies, and you know what's surprisingly not in that handful of movies is Waterworld. You know, I always like to play this joke on people where I act like I've only seen 5 movies, but you know the sad truth is, I really have. I've probably only seen a collective total of maybe a few hundred films. Probably less than 100 if I had to guess. But I've never seen Waterworld. There's I know what it is. I'm not that stupid. Just like I know what Mad Max is, despite having never seen Mad Max. But yeah, you'd be astounded if you met me in real life and you're like, Seth, how many movies have you actually seen? And you start naming off things. Chances are, I actually have not seen probably 80% of the films you've seen. That's all there is to it. Because number 1, film is not my thing. Number 2, I don't know, man. I just don't have the patience to sit there and watch a movie for like 5 hours. It's just not my thing, man. I don't know. If you like film, more power to you. I just don't like film as a storytelling device because it's very... Well, as a writer, it's different because for me, I like to write stuff that's very... How do I put it? You know, I'm inspired by stuff like video games and stuff, so for me, I like the person reading to be able to make the inference and stuff too. I don't like books where it's just like, and then Billy Willie walked off and he fucked his wife. That's just not that exciting for me. I can't get off to erotica. That's just not my thing. That's probably too much information, but it's relevant to what I'm talking about. So when it comes to like movies and stuff, the person watching is essentially, it's like a roller coaster, right? You're subjected to what the person's stuff is, and I just don't find that as exciting. That's why I really can't understand binge culture and stuff, you know, because it's like, oh, I watched 17 hours of fuck, what's a show I hate? Top Chef. I've watched a lot of Top Chef, so I shouldn't really talk shit. You know, to be honest, I probably watched more Iron Chef and Top Chef than I would honestly like to admit, because that's all I used to watch. So when I used to actually watch TV, the things I'd watch the most would be Monster Quest and probably Seinfeld. So I don't think my experience with things like that are very good tastes, you know. I don't watch TV like... I tried watching most shows most people have probably seen. Like, I've probably seen more TV than I've seen film, you know what I mean? I've seen most, if not all, of the stuff from Breaking Bad without actually having watched a single episode all at once. Because I feel the difference between a game... And this is why I think games are a little bit different when it comes to how you can approach them from an outsider's perspective, right? Like, so an outsider... Fuck, that sounds so weird, doesn't it? Outsiders! Outsiders to video games can sometimes happen. And I don't mean to blame lore channels and stuff, but that is technically one of the main gripes I have, is because you have all this accessibility, okay? It's like, say someone was like, oh yeah, Daggerfall, this is a great game, there's abortion in it. It's like, but they wouldn't know the entirety behind that, right? I'm actually not making that up, that's actually true. If you don't know, so I did skip past, I did skip past a quest, that I probably won't bring up. Basically, Tiber Septim impregnated Berenzia and then forced her to have an abortion. But if you don't know anything about Tiber Septim, if you just say that as like some casual observer, you start to just, you're like, oh yeah, that's the edgy series with abortion in it. Like, Elder Scrolls is not the abortion game, by the way. I like to point that out. I don't know why this is the fucking... I guess it's because relevant to the game I'm playing, so... But you know what I mean. Like, it's... Oh yeah, Elder Scrolls used to have nudity. Oh yeah, I remember those days. It's like... But they've never touched an Elder Scrolls game. Like, this is why I hate to say it, but it's so true. I genuinely believe that there is a definite line of fandom, and then there's like a just part of leeching. And that's why gatekeeping exists, if you will, because there's good and there's bad, you know, you just don't let, like... If it was like an all... Fuck, I don't know, all Irish boys club, and you had to be Irish to get into the club, and you were, like, Scottish, that kind of feels like it's cheapening the deal, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it, but, like... It wouldn't be an all-Irish club if one person was Scottish, right? It would be just... I'm probably over-exaggerating my point here, but... My point is, Elder Scrolls is a large, large series with lots and lots of lore, and lots of interesting characters, and genuinely good writing here and there. And so when someone just, like, doesn't play the games, they don't know how they mechanically play, they don't know how they mechanically feel... It then becomes harder as an outsider to fit in if you haven't actually played the games. It's like, and yeah, I get it, some people just want a good story, that's one thing, but like, you can't describe a fighting game based solely on its story, right? Like, people like me who've played Mortal Kombat for years will be like, yeah, MK7 was good, but 8 was a train wreck, and they'll be like, but I love superheroes, and it's like, well, it's not about superheroes, it's about the story and this, and then the way it feels mechanically, and then they get mad at you, because well, you just don't like fun. It's like, no, you haven't played the game. Yeah, I watched the lore channel on it. It's like, that's not the same thing as playing the game. It's like, you can't mechanically experience some things about games, right? Like, control, that's the main thing I think nobody can get. Like, you can't physically tell what I'm doing with my hands while I'm actually playing this game, right? You're just probably inferring a lot of it, but, like, the game to me is smooth. This is actually a very, very, especially for the time this game came out, this is a very smooth, like, experience to play, and it's very structured and makes sense. Something like, oh, what was the game my friend Ian had me play? Ronin, oh my god. So, you know, me and my friend, we've been friends for like a long fucking time, right? We've been friends since like high school. We're both 28 now, right? So, we both have like a lot of overlap in taste, but we also have different tastes, right? So, my preferred method of games is something akin to something like this. It's very strategic, if you will, mathematical, very like... I don't know how you want to put it. Probably just something like more engaging to play with. Like, a game like Dwarf Fortress is super exciting to me, but somebody who's not into like weird ASCII-based text screens that are basically just like fucking data spreadsheets of a game, I get it. I once tried to get him to play NetHack under the assumption that he didn't see what it was, and he just said, no, this is not a game, Seth. This is command prompt with some like text. I'm like, that's the point. And so, you know, I guess fair is fair. We both have had our let's bring a game to the table conversations, and it ends up being a shit show, right? So, but I'm also used to this as a joke, right? So there's one time I came over and he's like, all right, play Ronin. And I'm like, okay, well, this can't be that bad. And he's like, oh yeah, okay. He hands me the controller, he explains how the game's going to control. I'm like, okay, I get like a handle on the controls, and they just don't feel right. And I'm like, okay, what's the catch here? What are you trying to do to me? And then the game kicked in, and it made total sense because I couldn't experience how mechanically fucking awful the game felt to play. You just can't convey that in terms of like saying, oh, it's bad, trust me. It just, you can say, okay, well maybe they said trust me, therefore I should probably believe it. No, I'm dead serious. That game did not work because it was supposed to be like 3 or 4 different things, and it was like, oh, what was it? It was like platforming mixed with like real-time turn-based. You know, I'm not even sure I know how to describe it, and that's all I can tell you is when a game is mechanically unfun to play, or it feels just off, it's something in your brain you can't quite elaborate with words, right? You're just like, no, it just feels wrong, right? It's like when you, let's say you're watching a movie and you're looking at the screen and something just doesn't sit right with you and you can't quite explain what it is, but you realize it was the way that the film was shot. Like, the film had like a certain filter on it, or a different camera lens created a different like distortion to it that made it look weird, and you just can't quite explain why it feels weird. I think that's one of the reasons I like games, but I also hate games at the same time, because there's a level of you have to play it to understand it, and that's why analysis for games is so lengthy, I guess, or it can be lengthy. And I think that's because games are such an extremely physical, visceral reaction. Like, you can't describe something in a game without actually having played it. Like, I can't describe the level of, you know, confusion a game like this can cause you until you've played it and you experience, like, the eye strain this kind of shit can cause you. Okay, I haven't gone down this path, so this is a good sign. Like, oh, hello. So yeah, there's a level of stuff that only can be experienced through this. Like, you know, it's like trying to compare Command and Conquer 3 versus Command and Conquer Red Alert, right? Or Red Alert 2, sorry. Red Alert 2 is a fucking satisfying, awesome RTS game. But you play Command and Conquer 3, and something in your brain just goes, this doesn't feel quite right. You can't really explain it, because it's so similar to every other game you've played in that series, right? So you're like, instinctively you're going, okay, what's the problem here? What's hiccuping me, basically, right? Oh, I see one of the spots I could have missed. And you just sort of sit there and you go, okay, this just, CNC 3 doesn't feel as satisfying to play as, like, Red Alert 2. But why is it? You know, you can't explain it. With a film, it's just kind of all there. The only thing that can kind of change is, like, the artists or the interpretation of, like, how the people that made it want you to feel. Like, the message is generally subjective, I would hope. I think a good movie, you know, I think one of my favorite quotes, and forgive me for it sounding very obvious who probably said it, so I'm just going to leave it out. Art's a question mark. And I think that's a very good level of art in general, is you don't really want... I mean, there's nothing wrong with having art that's like, oh, this is a portrait of 2 people fucking, this is exactly what it is. Like, that's fine. No one's going to stop you there, right? But, at the same time, you know, good art leaves a message, it leaves a meaning, it leaves something like that. And with something like a film, you're kind of structured to what the people telling the film want you to see when you experience it. Like, okay, like take Friday the 13th, for example. I'm just saying any of them, I should say, but like Friday the 13th, right? The first time you watch the very first one, you don't see Jason until the end of the movie, and you don't know that it's actually his mom. Oh shit, I spoiled the movie for you. I spoiled a 30-plus-year-old movie in a major franchise. I'm sorry. But yeah, like, you don't know that the first time you watch it, and you're like, oh, or maybe you've never seen it, and you've seen the other films, and you see that one, you go, oh, it's actually his mom. And then you go back and you watch it again, and you go, oh, that's cool, you can see, like, her hand is different, and then, like, it's her hands, and, like, the shots where she's, like, following people. And because it makes you think, oh, it's actually Jason, cool. And then you watch the movie again, and you go, oh, that's really neat, I didn't see that the first time. Whereas in a movie like The Sixth Sense, once that's established that Bruce Willis is dead, it sort of doesn't matter anymore, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, oh, that's the twist, is everyone's dead. Or, you know what I mean? Like, he's dead, whatever. It stops being as exciting because of that as a result. Because the overall message is that. I guess it builds up to it throughout the movie, and you can subtly piece things together. But that's the problem, is once a movie has established its, like, characters and all that, it no longer can surprise you like a game can. You know, I think one of my favorite examples is, like, I've played New Vegas, like, 1,000 times, and I didn't even realize that Arcade Gannon not only had an entire quest chain to deal with the Enclave, but there was an entire Enclave bunker with an entire side storyline, and I didn't even know that you could fucking have them align themselves with the Hoover Dam. I didn't know that, and I've played that game 1,000 times. It's not a huge deal. Okay, there's one more secret room I could possibly have missed that I can find so far. So for me, that's like, oh, that's cool, I guess. You know, it's surprising because I may have played the game a million billion times, but the little things like that's what I mean. Like, movies don't have that. Or you can say, oh, well, there's Easter eggs and stuff. Well, that's one thing, but once you know where they're all at, the movie stops being exciting. It's kind of like the first time you watch Pulp Fiction, you go, hey, wait a minute, wasn't that guy just dead like 10 minutes ago? And you go, oh, the whole film's shot out of order. Okay, that's weird. It's a small thing, but, like, and then you watch the movie and you can see all the, like, symbolism that took place in it. Like, oh, all the scenes involving Butch. Actually, I think it's Robert Agar. I did not come up with this. This is all his video I'm referencing here. Like, all the little things about, like, the different branding they use in the movie, the gold scene, stuff like that. Like, there's a lot more depth to the movie than is initially, you know, billed. And I think that's something that genuinely helps the movie more than it hurts it. And I don't know. It's my favorite movie, so I feel like it's unfair to say anything negative about it. There's still negatives. Like, I think, yeah, it's tonally kind of all over the place. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't really matter that's in the movie, and I've seen people say, oh, it's masterfully written. I don't think that's Tarantino's best film. That's just one of my favorite films because I just enjoy it a lot. Well, there's a lot of reasons, but, like, I enjoy that movie for different reasons than the person that just wants to sit there and say, oh, it's the movie where they talk about cheeseburgers. Like, if that's your reason for liking a movie, cool, I'm not going to stop you there. But at the same time, someone like me who has analytical skills from years of writing and stuff like that, it's interesting to look at because you're like, okay, there's got to be something deeper to this. Or Eraserhead's a better example. Eraserhead's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's, okay, I'm going to spoil the whole movie for you. It's entirely a metaphor for birth control and not wanting to be a parent. Well, I'm simplifying, obviously. There's a lot of things in there that are a little bit more complex thematically, but there's a lot of stuff that's not told explicitly to the audience, and that's what makes it good. I've explained this before in other videos. I hate movies and stuff where the stuff is just exposition dumped at the person watching. Like, there's no respect for the person to watch it. Like, they have to be spoon-fed the entire informational text dump, you know. It's like, that to me is just not fun to watch. I much more appreciate a movie that has You know, there's movies that go in the complete opposite of this philosophy. I think Donnie Darko is another movie that always got recommended to me by people. Like, oh, you're goth, you must love this movie. And so I watched Donnie Darko and I was like, I don't know how... Hey, Daedra Hart! Yay! So I watched Donnie Darko twice. And I just absolutely fucking hated it. I thought a few lines were kind of funny. God, Donnie, stop being such a fuck ass. That line made me laugh harder than it should have. Let's loiter. Oh, enemies, what? Oh, it's Lord, I can't say who, cause, oops. But like, yeah, that's a movie that it's too subtle in what's going on, and the movie seems confusing, and some people try to say, oh, it's artsy because you just don't get it, and it's like, no, it's about time travel and... Not time travel, but timelines merging together, and it's, you know... I'm not stupid. I know what the movie's about. I've seen it twice. I know the gist. It's been about 10 years since I've watched it, but I didn't like it. I thought it was too complex for its own good. And it's almost too ambiguous, you know, and I think another example of this is like Dark Souls 2 lore versus Dark Souls 1 lore. I'm not going to get in the debate which game I prefer. I actually love Dark Souls 1. One of my favorite games of all time. But Dark Souls 2 is a great game. It's just not got good lore. And there's some questionable design philosophy here and there, but same with Dark Souls 1, it has some questionable shit in it, like Blighttown, good god. I know it's supposed to be like Valley of Defilement 2.0, but whatever. There's certainly limits of... Fuck you. 1,000 gold. Better be 1,000 gold. You know, that's what I mean. Like, I would rather something be complex and deep in a good way. No. No research. No banishing Daedras. No sleeping. No, I'm not that person. No, I don't want to kill a rogue imp. Sure, we'll do this. Yeah, why not? We'll do this. But yeah, it's like, there's definitely an example of what I always think of. It's too complex for its own good. Like, it's just like, oh, there's all this timeline stuff, and then it just kind of gets hand-waved away. Whereas something like Fight Club is a little bit more subtle, and then it feels good. Like, the twist is well-earned, you know what I mean? But then there's things like Donnie Darko where it's just like, oh, and then it's all this. I'm not going to spoil it because I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't seen it. But as much as I don't like it, I don't think it deserves to be ruined if in that case. Because I think it's a movie worth watching at least once. I think everything's kind of worth watching at least one time. To an extent, obviously. Like, I've seen The Room. Doesn't mean I suggest watching The Room. You know, that movie's great, and for a lot of different reasons. But still. Yo! We'll do it. We'll go for it. Ruins of Old Lysana's farm in 14 days. That's actually a pretty good time frame. So, mark. Anchor. And then we'll go to the ruins. Oh, why did I do that? Oh, why did I even? Lysana's farm. There we go. Apparently there's a lot of old X farms in Daggerfall. Oh, God. A bell tolls. Is that smoke in the distance? That means it's a bandit camp, by the way. Let's go ahead and see if we can take care of this. I already forgot what we're doing. That's probably not good. But I'm going to pause the video. If I have to cut it, I'll see you in the next one. But I'm going to go to the bathroom and I'll be right back.